On Labor Day night, Walters is the spot for disappointed Florida State fans to watch their team bounce back against Boston College. Walters will be open through the entire game.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
On away. The right fielder, number 3, Dylan Cruz. Standing ovation from Nationals fans.
Here's the wind to the 3-1 pitch. And it is high, ball 4. Dylan Cruz reaches base for the first time in the big leagues, drawing a walk. Would not chase a 3-1 cutter up and out of the zone, and the catcher, Austin Wells, turning around to question the call, the home plate umpire, but it seemed to be up and out of the zone. The 1-2. Swing a fly ball, well hit left center field. Judge racing back to the warning track, at the wall, he leaps, and he makes the catch! Woods around second, the throw into Torres, the throw to first is a double play! Aaron Judge robs a home run and gets a double play to boot. Here's the pitch. Swing a long drive right field, sending Cruz back. He's not going to have a play, and this one is long gone. Over the big wall and straightaway right field. Home run number 10 for Wells makes it 3-0 Yankees.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Tuesday, August 27th. 2024, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. We on Monday evening had some juice at Nationals Park. Game 1 of a 3-game series for the Nats against the American League leading New York Yankees, who, of course, feature former Nats outfielder Juan Soto and feature outfielder Aaron Judge. This game also marked the Major League regular season debut of the Nats consensus #1 overall prospect, outfielder Dylan Cruz. Official attendance for the game was good, 32,812, though yes, a good portion of that was made up of Yankees fans. And the Nats did lose this game, a 5-2 loss in what was kind of an odd game. This was a game in which the Nats and Yankees went a combined 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The Nats went 0 for 7. The Yankees went 0 for 5. The Nats for this regular season now 59-73, so the Nats will not have a 90-win season. The Yankees for this regular season now an American League best 78-54, and with a Major League best run differential of plus 131. This installment of the Nats Chat podcast brought to us by the best legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. market, Mason Kalfas. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there. Check out Mason's website today, zenithlegal.com, or call or text Mason anytime, 202-486-3535. So the Nats on Monday morning officially announced having selected the contract of Dylan Cruz from AAA Rochester. All but one of the Nats starting players in this game on Monday evening, 26 or younger. Mark, it would have been nice if the game had gone better for the Nats, but this did feel like a significant moment in the Nats rebuild.
Right. And, the fairy tale ending would have been a big night at the plate for Dylan Cruz, the boys battling back to come back and win the game. And obviously that didn't happen. But I do think it's important to look at not just the outcome of this game against, as you just outlined, a really good opponent. And there were things the Nats did well. They hit the ball really well in this game and had almost nothing to show for it, which we can get to. But I think what's important to look at is this is the next step in their attempt to get back to contention. And I think what stands out to me most of all is you had a lineup out there in which all but one guy, Ildemaro Vargas, and it very easily could have been Luis Garcia instead, which would have made it everybody on the field, not only is young, but has a chance to be part of the long-term picture here. Some are not going to. We know it doesn't work out that way. Some of these are maybe long shots who are not necessarily expected to be the guy at their particular position in the long run. But a majority of the guys who played in this game are. And we've been waiting a long time to see that. You've seen a few of them at a time, kind of slowly saw more added to the mix. And now you had one of the biggest names added to it as well. And just seeing for the first time a major league lineup that starts out Abrams, Cruz, Wood, it's hard not to be excited about that. And the hope would be that over time, that becomes a playoff caliber 1, 2, 3 with some other guys behind them in the lineup. They're going to help them score a lot more runs than they have been scoring right now.
Before we go any further, Nats manager Davey Martinez did not do a postgame session after this game. As you know, that is extremely rare. What do we know about why he did not do a postgame session with you guys?
So we were waiting in the press conference room for quite a while, about 20 minutes, which is longer than usual. And then one of the PR reps of the team came in and said, hey, we're going to go do the clubhouse first. We're going to get the players first, and then we'll come back to get Davey. And that's unusual in itself. It's happened a couple of times over the years, but it's pretty unusual. But sometimes the manager gets tied up in a meeting or something else. So go talk to the players before they leave the ballpark. And then while we were in there talking to players, we then heard that Davey actually was not going to be speaking to us at all. And we were told that he's not feeling well. I don't know the extent to which that was. He was there at the end of the game in the dugout. You could see him. The mood of the people around the team didn't seem to be anything of great concern. So hopefully it's nothing all that serious. Didn't see him myself anywhere in the clubhouse or near his office afterwards. So hopefully everything is fine there. We know he has dealt with some health issues in the past, so fingers crossed that it's not anything serious. The sense, at least around the room, was that it wasn't anything to be that overly concerned with, and hopefully we'll find out more on Tuesday when hopefully he's back at the park and can speak to us.
Yeah, we definitely wish Davey the best. As many of you listening know, he in 2019 underwent a heart procedure. We have no idea if this has anything to do with that, but like Mark said, Davey has had health issues in the past. So Dylan Cruz, big deal, right? Major League regular season debut, number 2 overall pick in the 2023 MLB draft out of LSU. He, per MLB Pipeline, is the number 3 overall prospect in baseball. He, per Baseball America, is the number 4 overall prospect in baseball. Davey Martinez had Cruz as the Nats starting right fielder and number 2 batter. This was not an instance of, a hotshot prospect having to debut as like the number 6 batter. No. Cruz was the number 2 batter. We'll see if that continues to be the case. But 0 for 3 with a walk. Just to go through each plate appearance here. Cruz in the bottom of the first, a 1-out fly out to, appropriately enough, Juan Soto in right field. Cruz in the bottom of the 4th, a leadoff 5-pitch walk. Cruz in the bottom of the 6th, struck out swinging on 6 pitches with runners on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And Cruz in the bottom of the 8th, grounded out to Yankees first baseman DJ LeMahieu for the 2nd out. I know that you guys talked to Cruz before the game, talked to him after the game. Obviously not some spectacular debut, but just the fact that he's here is a really big deal. But what struck you in listening to what Cruz had to say?
Well, he's very polished. He's very mature. He does not come across as a 22-year-old. There is a little Bryce Harper in him in the way he conducts his interviews. And I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, just that he speaks like somebody who's been in the spotlight before and is comfortable with it. And the quotes can be a little, unassuming and uncontroversial, just kind of saying the right things that you're supposed to say in those moments. Nothing bad, nothing rude about it at all. But it felt like this is something he's done before and he knows how to handle it. And that was what he also said about the game. It felt normal to him. It felt like any other game that he's ever played. And he said, yeah, you get out there and you see the third deck and you look across the way and there's Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. And yeah, it hit him a little bit, the significance of this, but he made it seem like he felt very comfortable out there. Now, as far as the performance, pretty pedestrian. It wasn't bad per se, but it wasn't anything to get all that excited about. He draws a walk. He showed some patience at the plate, which is something that we know about him. Didn't chase a lot. The one time he had a chance with some runners on base, he gets into a good count, 3-1, and then ends up striking out on back-to-back fastball. So that was the one moment you thought maybe he can come through and do something. Had a couple of plays in the field, had a chance to throw out a runner at the plate. It's a strong throw, a little up the line. They still almost got him. It's one of those a perfect throw might get him, and that would have been a wow moment, but it's not the kind of play that you say he's expected to make. So pretty nondescript, actually, from him, which is fine. He got through it. He was pleased with it. He enjoyed the moments, the crowd, everything to go along. And he said, I can't wait to come back again and do it tomorrow.
Yeah, on what was a star-studded night at Nationals Park, the Stars, talking about both team stars, really didn't do much in terms of plate appearances. The Nats numbers 1 through 3 batters, Abrams, Cruz, Wood, a combined 0 for 9 with 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. And the Yankees numbers 2 through 4 batters, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton, a combined 1 for 13 with 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. At one point, dominated by Tanner Rainey. I can't wait until we get to that. But yeah, Cruz did as he did. Abrams is the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Another rough game for him. His OPS for this month of August now down to just .611. And James Wood, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 3 batter, 0 for 2 with 2 2-out 5-pitch walks. James Wood drawing 2 more walks in this game. Bottom of the 6th, a 2-out 5-pitch walk. Bottom of the 8th, a 2-out 5-pitch walk. But also with Wood was what happened in the bottom of the 4th. Now, I mentioned Judge, Soto, and Stanton not doing much in terms of plate appearances, but Aaron Judge did a whole lot in this game as a fielder, as a center fielder. James Wood in the bottom of the 4th reached first base via a fielder's choice grounder, but he ended up getting doubled up at first base as Yankees center fielder Aaron Judge on a deep fly ball off the bat of Andres Chaparro made a terrific leaping backhanded catch while crashing into the left center field wall and then fired the ball toward the infield where a relay throw got Wood as he retreated back to first base. This game in a lot of ways became the Aaron Judge show defensively, not so much offensively, but that was some play by Aaron Judge.
So coming in, all the attention on Cruz and Soto, and I'm saying to myself, well, yeah, there's still another guy who's probably the best player out of them all who could steal the show. And sure enough, Aaron Judge did. He just didn't do it in a way that any of us would have expected him to do it because he did it with the glove. Those were 2 of the best catches you'll ever see under the circumstances, on top of Alex Verdugo slamming into the left field wall to rob an extra base hit. I'm pretty sure that the Chaparro one would have been out, or at least off the top of the wall. It was a tremendous play by him. You could see how fired up he was after when he completed the double play. And for 4 innings in this game, the Nats had 4 of the best hit balls of either team, 4 drives of at least 375 feet, and 3 of them were outs, not because they were just lazy fly balls that died at the warning track, but 3 that were caught making great plays by the Yankees outfield. And it felt like just a couple more inches in each of those cases, or if the outfielder doesn't quite make the play, we could be having a very different conversation right now. And the Nats might have won this game. I think the Chaparro one is the one that really was the defining play of the entire game. Now, as far as James Wood's base running on that, he made it past second. So he had a long way to go back and obviously was doubled up. I think you could maybe say, okay, don't go quite as far, maybe come up a little short of second base just in case he makes the catch and it's a shorter run to get back and maybe he beats the throw back. But I can't fault him that much because off the bat, that looked like a guaranteed double, at least, if not a home run. Everybody in the park thought so, everybody except for Aaron Judge. That was just a tremendous play, and I don't think you can do anything except just congratulate him on a fantastic play that he made there.
Well, and there's something sort of poetic about this, too. James Wood is 6'7", and we've seen him struggle defensively in left field. I think one of the most impressive things about Aaron Judge is that he is 6'7", and he routinely plays center field, and for years has played it well. You could argue the defense has slipped a bit in recent seasons, but, that is something. This guy is a slugger, and yet he's out there in center field, all 6'7" of them, and he can still play the position at a high level. And, it just makes you say to yourself, okay, Wood, look at Judge. This is what you can be. We know that James Wood has the ability to be a very good defensive outfielder. We haven't quite seen that yet, but I've always just been so impressed by that from Aaron Judge. This is a guy, in years past, type of player a team would park in a corner outfield spot or at first base or at DH. No, he's out there in center field making a play like that one that got James Wood doubled up at first base.
Are you a lawyer that hates your boss even more than you hate jerks in Profar? Does your law firm always fail, just like the San Diego Padres? Well, Nats Chat sponsor Mason Kalfas is the best legal recruiter in the DC legal market, and you should give them a call. Mason specializes in working with law firm partners, associates, and senior government lawyers in antitrust, securities enforcement, energy, and life sciences. Mason is the founder of Zenith Legal, a 10-person legal recruiting firm with recruiters in DC, New York, Philadelphia, and other cities. Mason has placed partners and associates in over half of the AmLaw 100 law firms. All conversations are 100% confidential and focused holistically on your career goals. Some lawyers change jobs for more money, some change jobs because of client conflicts, and some change because their colleagues are losers like the Padres and Phillies. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there for free. Call Mason Kalfas today at 202-486-3535.
Leiter kicks and delivers. Swing and a long drive by Young. Deep left field. Verdugo back to the warning track, to the wall. He can't get it. It's gone. Goodbye. Bang. Zoom goes Jacob Young with his third home run of the season. RBI number 30. A solo shot with one out of the bottom of the 8th inning. And it's now the Yankees 5 and the Nationals 2.
The Nats' 2 runs in this game did come courtesy of home runs. The home runs by Jacob Young and Juan Yepez. Jacob Young, as the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, 2 for 3 with a solo homer and a double. He did commit a fielding error in the Yankees' 2-run 6, but Young in the bottom of the 6th, an opposite field double to right field on a 1-2 pitch, and Young in the Nats' 1-run 8th, a leadoff homer to left field to cut the Nats' deficit to 5-2, the homer going a projected 400 feet per Statcast. Now, that error by Young came in the Yankees' 2-run 6, a fielding error. Young botched the fielding of a routine single by Anthony Volpe to center field, but we know that Jacob Young has been so good defensively this season. And how about your Jacob Young OPS now for this month of August? 749. He has had the great defense. He has had the great base running. The batting is starting to pick up, and on a night on which the spotlight was on Dylan Cruz and James Wood, it ends up being Jacob Young, who is the Nats outfielder, who shined brightest in this game.
Well, I mean, come on. When you look at all the names in this game for both teams, Jacob Young is the one that you focused on and saying, that's the guy I'm worried about hitting for power, right? Maybe not so much. Physically doesn't stack up to any of those other behemoths out there, but he doubled and he homered, and that was a no doubt home run from him. I mean, there was no question where that one was going. That was great to see. He has picked it up here a little bit, and we keep saying we know the defense is outstanding. That's not going to change. It's just a question of can he hit enough at this level to stick up here as an everyday player, and if he can just do that on occasion, it makes a huge difference. It was really nice to see that. The error was frustrating. You know, that was a classic case of you give the Yankees an inch and they take it as far as they can. They then stole third, got in position to then score after that. So, you know, the Nats still need to clean a lot of things up and play a lot cleaner out there. But it was nice to see power from the Nationals. I mean, they finished with 2 home runs. They easily could have had 5 home runs. They were that close to having a huge night at the plate.
I wanted to make this point about Jacob Young. So we now have both James Wood and Dylan Cruz at the major league level. Each guy played a lot of center field in the minors, and yet the plan with each guy pretty clearly is for him not to play center field in the majors, at least not right now. That is 100% because of Jacob Young. And you think about this from 30,000 feet. If I told you going into this season, both Wood and Cruz will be at the major league level come late August, but neither will be viewed as a center fielder, at least for this season, because a 2021 7th-round pick will have overtaken that center field job for the Nats at the major league level. You would have said you're crazy, and yet that is exactly what has happened here. If Jacob Young was anything less than excellent defensively in center field, he would not be the regular center fielder right now. The regular center fielder would be Wood or Cruz, but his defense has been so good that the Nats feel compelled to keep him there because they feel like they're really not going to do better. They can't do better with the level that he's playing at defensively. And I just think that is such a credit to Jacob Young. A 2021 7th-round pick has made it so that the Nats' top 2 prospects, each of whom has been a center fielder, at least for now, isn't playing center field at the major league level.
Yeah, and it's why we have to be so careful about just assuming we know how this is all going to play out. at these spots. You can have the top prospects that you believe are going to be ultimately there in starting positions and where they're going to be in the field, but something else comes along that changes the plan. And I'll take it a step farther. I think there's a case to be made that not only has Jacob Young's play in center field made it so that they're not considering Wood and Cruz as center fielders at the moment, you could make the case that Jacob Young play this year also prompted them to trade Lane Thomas. Because if not for that, you may be saying, well, we've got one long-term outfielder here in James Wood. We know Dylan Cruz is coming. One of them could probably play center field. Lane Thomas could be our right fielder for another season. I'm not saying that's the only factor that went into it, but I think it could be considered at least part of the reason why they did. And it's a great credit to Jacob Young. And I think I remember talking earlier in the year about this, that it's funny sometimes, it's just about the timing of it. He got here first. And so he got the first opportunity to play center field. If his development was a little slower, remember, he came through the system really quick last year. If he was stalled along the way or anything happened to him and either Wood or Cruz got up here first, they probably would have gotten the chance to play center field. And if they were good at it, Jacob Young may never get that opportunity, at least not on a regular basis. So it's funny how it works sometimes like that. He has done everything in his power to take that job and say, hey, I should be the guy. Doesn't matter how highly touted the other ones are. And if he just hits enough, I think he can hold on to that job for a while. And it's going to be fascinating to watch, because a year ago, we're talking about who's going to be a part of the long-term plan here. Who are the names to watch? And there are a lot of outfielders in this system. And two of them are here now, but several others that we had been talking about are still in the minor leagues. And Jacob Young is not somebody we talked about at all. He may end up being the one who gets one of those three jobs.
Juan Yepez, he is the Nats starting DH and number 6 batter. He went 1 for 3 with a solo homer, though he also got picked off. But the homer was impressive. Yepez in a Nats 1-run 7th, 1-out solo homer on a bomb to left field to cut the Nats deficit to 4-1. That homer going a projected 432 feet per StatCast. But yes, Yepez did get picked off. It would not be a Nationals game in the 2024 season without someone making some kind of an out on the base pass. We did talk about the James Wood out on the base pass, but this one was far more egregious. Juan Yepez, bottom of the 5th, reached base via a one-out throwing error by Yankees third baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr., but Yepez then got picked off at second base for the third out. So once again, we're here to talk about something like that. The homer, though, was really good. And, you know, it's funny, the Nats in this game, just 5 hits, 4 of them were extra base hits. The Nats had 2 homers, 2 doubles, and a single. So the Nats actually hit for some power in this game.
And as I said, 3 more that were very close to being home runs or doubles and were robbed at the wall. And that homer, I had to laugh at it because after those close calls, he finally hit one that they couldn't even attempt. Even Judge wasn't going to make it over the left field bullpen to rob him of that one. The base running play, he's had a few of these on the bases. He's not the only one, certainly. They pretty much all have had some kind of issue there. But there is zero reason for Juan Yepez to get picked off, okay? He is not a threat. He should not be considered a threat. You cannot put yourself in a position where you're making outs like that, especially to end an inning. If it requires you taking a very short lead, just take the short lead. Don't take the bat out of the guy's hand at the plate. This is happening way too often. We talk about it every single night, it feels like, and it's not getting any better.
We need a sponsor for the Nats base running blunder of the game. It happens so regularly that Tim Shovers could get a sponsor for it, and we would fulfill that sponsorship on every episode of the podcast, it feels like, with how often the Nats this season are making outs on the base pass. Hey, Al Galdi here to tell you about the latest great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, get 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years, plus get an additional $250 credit. If you have been thinking about getting new windows, now is the time. Take advantage of this offer from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Window Nation windows are outstanding. 96% customer satisfaction rating. 96% of Window Nation windows installed require no follow-up service, and Window Nation has received more than 33,000 5-star reviews on Google. Take advantage of this offer. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy. Plus, pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years and get an additional $250 credit. 866-90Nation or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi sent you.
Here's the wind and the 3-1. Swung on, driven in the air to deep left field toward the corner. Wood going back, and this ball is gone. Into the first row off the hands of fans and dropping back down out of the warning track. A game leadoff home run for Gleyber Torres on a 3-1 fastball. The Yankees lead 1-0 with Juan Soto coming to the plate.
The Nats starting pitcher for this 5-2 loss to the Yankees on Monday evening was Mitchell Parker. He lasted for just 4 innings. Now, it's not like he was terrible. He gave up 2 runs in 4 innings. He gave up 5 hits, a home run, a double, and 3 singles. He issued 2 walks. He did record 5 strikeouts, but he also ended up throwing a lot of pitches. He, over his mere 4 innings, threw 83 pitches, 50 strikes versus 33 balls. And also in this game was more difficulty for Parker in the field. Top of the second, Mitchell Parker committed a missed catch error. He induced a weak 2-out grounder off the bat of Alex Verdugo on an 0-2 pitch, but Parker, in covering first base, simply botched the catching of what was, a pretty routine toss by first baseman Andres Chaparro. So we know that Parker's fielding has been an issue. Clearly, it continues to be an issue. But regarding him lasting for just 4 innings, 83 pitches, you didn't talk to Davey Martinez after the game, but what do you think the thinking was in pulling Parker?
So my guess would be, 83 pitches in 4 innings is a lot. There was a high pitch count. There were some high stress innings, even though he did a good job to minimize the damage and not let it get out of control. And then you look at who was coming up for the Yankees, and it's Soto, Judge, and Stanton for the 3rd time. And while Parker did a nice job containing those 3 the first 2 times, what were the odds of him being able to do it a 3rd time through? That's probably, I'm going to assume, what the thought process was there. What would have been more interesting is, had the pitch count been lower, if he's in the 70s instead of the 80s, can you justify pulling him at that point strictly for that matchup reason? Or would you have felt compelled to leave him in there and let him keep going? We won't know the answer to that until we get a chance to talk to Davey again. I liked a lot of what he did, just the poise that he showed. It's weird you talk about that because, here's a guy who has all kinds of trouble in the field and makes a mess of things. I mean, he's had 11 defensive chances now in the big leagues, and he's got 4 errors. That's atrocious. That should never happen at any position, let alone a pitcher. And he knows it. And he said, hey, I look forward to spending even more time working on this stuff now moving forward, because he knows he's going to have to.
Been an issue that I'm going to be looking forward to working on again and again. And
I hope enough work can solve the problem, because right now it doesn't seem like anything they do with him is solving the problem. He's got an issue out there in a variety of ways, and he's going to have to clean that up because it's going to be a thing for him over his career. But I give him credit because he does shrug it off, come right back, and get out of the jam. Even in the first inning, give up the leadoff homer to Gleyber Torres, and okay, oh boy, here we go. And then he walks Soto. It's going to be over in the first inning. What's he do? He gets Judge hitting a ground into a double play, and he gets Stanton to line out. So he's not the most polished. He's not the most overpowering rookie pitcher, but he's one of the more poised ones we've seen here in a while and doesn't get rattled by much. And so I give him credit, and that is something that he has in his corner here that's allowing him, even without the most dominant stuff or, overpowering his way through this, that he can still get through this and most of the time limit the damage.
Yeah, Mitchell Parker now for this regular season at the major league level, 24 starts, ERA of 4.26, whip of 126. And the Nats bullpen in this game, 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 5 innings. Tanner Rainey officially allowed 2 runs in 1 inning, but what his outing should most be remembered for is what he did in the top of the 5th. A perfect top of the 5th on just 4 pitches, and he, in that inning, retired the Yankees' numbers 2 through 4 batters in Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton. That was some job by Tanner Rainey in the top of the 5th. The notion just a few months ago of Tanner Rainey on 4 pitches, tossing a perfect inning and facing Soto, Judge, and Stanton was like in another universe, and Rainey pulled this off on Monday evening. Now, he did get charged with 2 runs and what ended up being a 2-run 6 for the Yankees. Rainey in that inning giving up a leadoff homer by Austin Wells to right field for a 3-0 Yankees lead. Joe La Sorsa officially allowed 1 run in 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 4 hits, including a 1-out solo homer by Jazz Chisholm Jr. in the top of the 8th for a 5-1 Yankees lead. And then there was what happened with Jose A. Ferrer. He tossed 1 1/3 scoreless innings despite umpires checking his glove prior to him beginning his appearance. He was allowed to pitch, ended up pitching well. But an interesting night for the Nats bullpen. You had what happened with Rainey, and then you had this Jose A. Ferrer scenario.
So with Rainey, when I just talked about them pulling Parker, maybe because of what the matchup was going to be, and you thought, okay, let's get a reliever in there. I would not have guessed that Rainey would be the one to then be used against them and to be that effective. That was one of the best innings of relief we've seen from anybody all year, for him to do that against those 3 hitters on only 4 pitches. And this is a guy who, even at times when he puts a 0 up, sometimes needs 20 to 30 pitches to do it. That was great. I didn't love the fact that he had to come back for a second inning, but that's the issue. If you're going to pull your starter after 4, you're going to have to ask for more out of your relievers. And so that was going to be a 2-inning appearance for Rainey, and you saw what happened. So if you're going to use him that early, you may have to limit him to the 1 inning and get somebody else to come in after that. As far as Ferrer goes, another one that I wish we'd been able to talk to Davey to find out more about it. My hunch, I think, is he, in spring training, it was Angel Hernandez, actually, who tried to tell him he couldn't use his glove at first. And then Davey had a long talk with him, and they ultimately did allow him to use it. It's a 2-toned glove. It's a kind of reddish glove with, I believe, like gold trim and even gold strings. And maybe it's the gold strings that are an issue. I don't think the Yankees were asking for it to be checked. I think whoever the umpire that initially looked at it must have said, hang on a second, I don't know if this is legal, brought over the other guys. They all looked at it. It was a long conversation. They ultimately just let him pitch. So I would guess that when it happened in spring training, they contacted the league office to say, is this glove okay? And they said, yeah, it's fine. Maybe the memo didn't get to these other umps today, or they hadn't, remembered anything about that. I don't know. I'm very curious to see what comes of all this. For a moment, I'm thinking to myself like, oh God, they found sticky stuff on him. He's going to be ejected and then suspended for 5 games or whatever it is, or 10 days when this happens. Thankfully, it wasn't anything like that. I think it was just a matter of, are the colors on the glove legal, I think.
Well, it's odd, obviously, because Ferrer has made a number of appearances this season, and this had not come up. So you were kind of like, okay, why is this coming up now as we're deep into August? The other thing is that the Yankees do have a reputation for gamesmanship. The Yankees this season have hit a lot of opposing batters with pitches. And so I wondered, is this coming from Aaron Boone? Is this coming from the Yankees? But perhaps not. Game 2 for the Nats against the Yankees at Nationals Park Tuesday evening at 6:45. Patrick Corbin will be the Nats starting pitcher. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. This installment of the Nats Chat Podcast brought to us by the best legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. market, Mason Kalfas. Step up to a World Series winner and hire the best legal recruiter out there. Check out Mason's website today, zenithlegal.com, or call or text Mason anytime, 202-486-3535. You can find us on our website, natschatpodcast.com, in which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Wagner trying to hold him close. The 2-0. That ball is drilled out toward deep left center field. That's going to be a big problem, and that ball is gone. Dylan Cruz ties it up with a 2-run blast to left center field.
Drinking and driving is a decision that could change your whole world. Things will never be the same if you ever get a DUI. Because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way that your world can be turned upside down. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You can face a life-altering injury or even death, but you're not the only one that can face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive can permanently impact not just your world, but someone else's world as well. Whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.